Okay, this is the discussion for Units 25 and 26. So, Unit 25 talks about bilingualism and language contact. And the first fact I found in here was the lexical borrowing. So, it's under language contact between sign languages. So, when two languages are in contact and the languages may borrow words from each other, this is called lexical borrowing. And it occurs when both spoken and sign languages. So, for example, English has the borrowed words from Italian, which consists of pizza, spaghetti, ravioli, or English has borrowed words from the Arabic language, such as algebra and coffee, and so on. And similar to that, ASL has borrowed signs from other sign languages. So the best examples of these are languages for the signs of names of other countries. So this borrowing is the direct result of American deaf people coming in contact with deaf people from other countries. So another example they use is the example for the sign club, which it was introduced at the Deaf Way conference in Washington, D.C. And the sign adapted from a sign used widely in Europe, meaning deaf club, and it responded to the need for a sign that could be readily used and understood by the 5,700 conference participants from around the world. So, deaf people from different countries are interacting with each other more often than ever, and as a result of that increased contact and interaction, they have begun to borrow signs from each other, and this is how lexical borrowing is distinct from fingerspelling. So, lexical borrowing involves borrowing whole signs, while fingerspelling is the manual representation of the writing system. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then in Unit 26, talks about the language as art. The first thing it's actually the first thing on here, which is about storytelling. So it explains storytelling as being a fundamental part of deaf culture. So I just thought this was interesting because we've been doing a lot of like storytelling in our sign language class with Ruby. Some of our in lessons we had to kind of mock some of the storytelling, and then for our final we had to actually tell our own story, which I feel like was pretty cool. You have to use like a lot of gesturing, and I feel like you'd show much more like facial expression and like how it's actually happening than if I would like sit here and tell you. So I thought that was pretty cool because we've been learning a lot about it. And then the other thing I really like is the drama. So American Sign Language plays and skits probably emerged in the mid-19th century. In the residential schools, dramatic performances flourished in the 20th century in deaf clubs, deaf colleges, deaf theater groups, deaf TV, film production groups, and deaf celebration groups. Drama in ASL is characterized by large and rhythmic sign movements and clear visual facial information such as facial grammar. I picked this one because my sister is deaf, so she went to the West Virginia School for the Deaf and Blind, and they would always put together like plays and skits and all of that, and I just loved watching them so much. They were so enjoyable. It's like such a difference from somebody speaking to putting all the emotions into their body language and facial expression. So it's something that I really loved. I always enjoyed going to them. My sister loved being in them. You could tell everybody was just having a good time. So I thought that was cool.